Hi, this is Susan Proper with Women Inspired to Wellness. Today I have with me a guest who is a grief transformation coach. Now, I have to admit, when I first met Bridget, I wasn't quite 100% sure exactly what that meant. Sure, I know what grief is. I think most of us have suffered through some sort of grief in our life, unfortunately. But I really did not understand the concept of a grief transformation coach. And I had a really nice conversation with Bridget before this podcast today. And she has an amazing story and some amazing tips for you today. So I hope you enjoy what she has to say. And I will leave the explanation of how she became a transformation coach, a grief transformation coach and speaker and author to Bridget. So I introduce you today to Bridget Tan.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you very much for having me today.
You're welcome.
To be with you today.
Thank you, Bridget. So can you explain to our listeners, maybe just a smidge louder, what it is that led you to become a grief transformation speaker and coach?
Absolutely, absolutely. So my original training actually is in veterinary medicine. I am a board certified veterinarian oncologist. And as life goes, as I go through life, many times, like you said, we experience through things. And for me, that started in 2011 and 12 when it seemingly seems to start with out of the blue divorce. And then it's become, before I know it, it's like 8, 9 grief events all happen in a matter of 2 years. And at the end of that 2 years, I was so heartbroken and in so much pain that I wish I could die. But I didn't die. And after a lot of time, I said, well, if I have to stay alive, I'm going to thrive. And doing that with fun, not just survive, but thrive, and doing that with ease and fun, not knowing how, but I'm just going to do that. And that's when I started my own personal journey into grief recovery and resolving all my grief and transforming my life and creating a life I would really love living. And fast forward just a few years, 3 years later, I look back and I realized that I have gone from broke, heartbroken, sick all the time, and miserable all the time, to living a wonderful life with ease and joy and fun and love and a lot more abundance and better health in the first 40 years of my life. And I realized I learned and mastered the skill and tools for transforming our adversities to treasures, from transforming tragedies to treasures. And so that's what initially take me into grief recovery and transformation initially. And as time goes by, my life was wonderful again. And fast forward to last year, 2019, out of the blue, my right hand, my dominant hand, suddenly become paralyzed. And then on top of that, my mother became extremely ill. We thought we're going to lose her. And my relationship with my 7 years companion dissolved just like that. So life seemingly to fall apart. The sky seemed to fall apart again suddenly. Mm-hmm. But what I noticed this time is I did not go through any of the agony, despair, and anguish the way I did back in 8, 9 years earlier. I continue to be able to have peace of mind and ease and calm and even fun and move through our life. I was able to continue to thrive in face of adversities. And that's when I realized not only I learned how to transform tragedies to treasures, but to be able to thrive in face of adversities. And I feel, for me, we all deserve to thrive at any time, regardless, even if as we are facing adversities. Adversities happen, things happen in our life, but we all deserve to continue to have peace of mind and to be able to thrive, whether it's on good days or as we are facing adversities. And so that's what really brings me more into this work, even more than I have been the last few years.
Okay. So, I mean, that's pretty amazing that, okay, we all go through adversities. You are absolutely right about that. And we all deserve to thrive. I totally agree with you there. And we all react to adversities differently. Many of us turn inward, and some of us become depressed. Some of us turn to alcohol. Some of us turn to drugs. Some of us do terrible things to our bodies or to our minds. Some of us perhaps learn new behaviors, something like what you're talking about, to help them improve themselves or improve their lives. Now, when you say that, you know, you decided to become happy and joyful and enjoy life, that just sounds wonderful, but not everybody can just make that choice and, you know, snap their fingers and life is all good. So what did you do?
What did I personally do?
Yes, what did you personally do?
What I did is I basically welcome and ask for help and guidance. Nothing happened overnight, and yes, if we are deep in the ditch, so to say, it is very challenging. It's very challenging to be able to just, you know, to be happy and to be all these things, and we feel as if the world is falling apart. And absolutely, you are right. The first couple of years when things happening back then, I was completely depressed and to a point even suicidal. A lot of time nowadays we say be grateful that you are alive. Back then I was not grateful I was alive. I was like, why am I alive? And so the main thing that I did is I took the step by step. I decided at the beginning, I am done with this. If I got to stay alive, I'm done being miserable. And I welcome and I went and actually I went from one after another coach. First it was to help me with my grief, and then this, and then it's that, and I went from one after another coach. And that's part of the reasons I choose to be a grief transformation coach. Which I am actually a certified grief recovery coach as well as a certified life mastery coach, partly from my own experience, from having to go from coach to coach to coach to coach, because each coach has certain knowledge. And then as I recover from my grief, I want to create my life, and I got to kind of almost semi-start over.
Right.
And so I want to be able, if somebody feel called to recover from their grief, to be able to be there for them through their journey, from having been through it myself, as well as now having the training and the knowledge and skills that, of being able to help, whether you need to be help recovering from your grief, to create a better result, or going through the whole path and journey of recovering and recreating a better life and result.
So, okay, I understand completely what you're saying, and I admire what you've gone through, and I sure do admire that tenacity to self-help. And I'm a believer in self-help, and I know that, you know, just looking at my own life, and I'm not comparing myself to you in any way, but I do know about grief, and I do know about depression. And I know that there comes a point in your life where you do have to just, like, you know, say, okay, I've gone as far as I'm going to go, and I do have to turn things around. But speaking for myself, okay, I know what my life looks like now, and I know what I do on a daily basis. I know I do yoga, I know I do meditation, I know I do certain things to help myself with my own personal transformation. So beyond coaching, what is your daily life like to help you deal with your, I know you're not in that place anymore, but what was your daily life like to help you deal with grief and your unhappiness at that point?
Absolutely. A few things that I learned at that times to learn to just to cry, definitely
Okay.
to cry and to really to I, back then what my part my daily life is what's I learned to honor myself, and my daily life was if I feel that that day I need to cry, I learn to cry. Another thing that truly helped me, and it's turned and I turned it into a program, actually a system actually. But another thing that truly helped me back then was actually dancing, freestyle dancing, and this was, and I didn't dance for the first 40 years of my life. There's a little story with that. I used to like to dance as a little girl, and then one day I came home having a little tough times at dance class, and I shared at the dinner table that I was having a tough time, thinking that I will get sympathy as a little girl do. And then somebody in my family turned to me and said, well, you are a stiff, clumsy, ugly duckling with big, ugly legs. You should never even think to dance.
Oh
And I
my
was
gosh.
about 10 years old. And I said, oh my God. And I ran to my room and hide and wishing that I never hear that, and then try to pretend I never hear that. And actually that stopped me from dancing for some 30 years. And I
Oh,
also stopped me from wearing skirt back because I got to hide my big ugly legs, you know. And so anyhow, when things was happening in my life, 2011, 12, something in me just telling me, just move to the music, just move to the music, just move to the music. And I learned to listen to that. And so there was a lot of Enya in my bedroom, because that's the only private space I have at the time. There was a lot of Enya in my bedroom practically every night. So that was one thing that I did to be able to get me out of bed. And then the other things that I did when I was really having a tough time, to allow myself the time. If there are some days, you know, with everybody, when we are having a tough time, some days you just can't get out of bed. I remember one day I was driving to work early on, after I learned that my former husband of 15 years decided to leave. And I drive and I just started crying. And I just said, it's like, I cried so much. I had to pull out of the highway, pull off from the highway to the side street. And I sat in front of this, it was a neighborhood somewhere, and this was on a Sunday. And I sat there and cry and cry and cry. There's a lady come out of her house. I think she was trying to check out who's this stranger outside my gate. And then she saw me cry, and she had her little boy come around and knock on my window and offer me a box of tissue.
oh,
And I called my work apparently that day, and I said, you know, I have a mini emergency. I'm not feeling well, which is very true. I'm not feeling well, and I can't come to work. And that happened from time to time, not frequently, but a couple times. There were other times that you know, I basically do a lot of reflections, allow myself some quiet times, and a lot of the dancing during the time that I was having a tough time. And once I said, okay, I'm done with this. And thankfully for me, I love what I do. I love what I do as a speaker, author, coach. I also love what I do as um, a doctor. I love my patients. And so during the tough times, that's one thing that pulled me. So if there is something if you're going through tough time and there is something that pulls you, and actually use that as something that help you take the next step and the next day and the next step. And for me, it was knowing that these patients really needed me today. These clients really needed me today, and that's helped me get out of bed. So,
but now by profession, you are originally a veterinarian, you said, correct?
oncologist, yes. So
Yes.
I treat animals with cancer.
Yes. Oh, how beautiful. Okay. Well, that helps me understand things a little bit more. Thank you for that because, yeah, dancing. And dancing does bring joy. I don't care what anybody says. I can't dance. I can't move. You start moving your body in just a natural rhythm to any music, and you are going to feel better. You may feel silly at first, but you will immediately feel better. I 100% agree with that. I also believe in intuitive drawing or painting, sketching. Again, the kind of thing that a lot of people say, oh, I can't do that. I don't know how to draw. I can't draw a stick. I think if you just follow it intuitively, you will be amazed at what can happen. Yeah.
Yes, and all those allow us when we're grieving, all those allow us to touch and release the part of grief that words cannot touch. When sometimes when you are so grieving that you can't even say it, and dancing and drawing and singing has a different energy and vibration, and that's why it allows us to touch a different part of our grief and our soul, so to say.
Right. Yeah, that's very good and very, very interesting as well, how that came to you and really transformed you. That's beautiful. And so then when you had your second bout of a major life change, a lot of things happened all at once. You were much better equipped and much better able to handle all of that so that you didn't, face that depression or that overwhelming sense of, I don't want to live, I want to thrive, I want to be happy.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people, and it was less event, but it all happened all at once. So it's like all instead of one after another, and in a way, the stake. The risk is large more to me. Losing a mother, is one thing, and then the other one was losing a career that I built over 25 years. If I couldn't use at the time when it happened, I could not even hold a pen like that with this hand, and so yeah, and at the same time, and that's actually when I realized how I learn and master all these skills and tools, and that's what brought me to write my book, the Seeking Peace, the proven 5 fingers method to thrive through change effortlessly. For people who are, not everybody want to do that. We all has different time in our journey, but for people who do want to do that, I basically streamline all the different skills and tools and simplify them and put them into 5 key points, each correlate with one of our fingers to make it easier to remember and apply and use.
That's wonderful. And that's your new book, right? You mentioned that your new book, Seeking Peace.
Yes.
I don't have the rest of the title written down, but that is your newest book. How many books have you written?
That is the second one.
Second book. Okay, great. Great. Now, you also mentioned to me that you are a speaker. I know you're a coach and obviously an author. So, and you are a speaker. So you speak across the country, you speak regionally. How does that work?
I've spoken even before COVID. Now with COVID, you kind of
Yeah, I know.
But before that, I've spoken all the way to Europe.
Oh, fantastic.
I speak locally, regionally, nationally, and
Internationally. Wow, that's amazing. Good for you. What a life change for you. That's absolutely fantastic. So now one thing we didn't mention is how people can reach you. And I want to say that because that's important. You are on LinkedIn and your LinkedIn handle is Burgit Tan. That's BIRGITTETAN. So it's not Bridget, it's Burgit. I want to make sure people understand that. And then you are also on Facebook. Your Facebook handle is B period PAUN period TAN, correct?
Paunipan.
PAUNI. Oh, sorry, I had that wrong. TAN. Okay. And then your Instagram handle is Burgett Tan underscore joyful underscore living. Correct? Okay, good. So people can reach out to you and find out more about how to work with you if they want to talk with you about grief coaching, or if they want to find out more about your book. Is your book on Amazon?
Yes.
Oh, excellent. Okay, so people can DM you or message you to talk about coaching. And you're also offering a giveaway, I think, to our listeners, a 30-minute free coaching package. Is that what it is? Can you explain that?
It's just 30 minutes laser coaching, because sometimes depend on what's going on in our life, sometimes you need a whole coaching thing, but sometimes it's a matter of being able to understand what you're going on nowadays with everything going on in the world, from COVID to so on and so forth. And so I'll be honored and happy to help you with a 30-minute laser coaching.
Okay.
So
Okay. And then there was something else I was going to ask you. Oh, yes. Do you have any tips, easy tips, anything easy that people might be able to use now, any listeners might be able to use now, if they're struggling with anything difficult in their lives, or grief even, loss of a loved one or something?
yeah, absolutely. There are a few things that I find were consistently helpful to help us go through tough times, whatever the cause of the tough times, a little bit easier. And the first one is to remember. Actually, this is quoting Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist. Viktor Frankl said, "Abnormal behavior in an abnormal circumstance is normal behavior." So what happened is, a lot of time when something happened, people's thrown off their regular life, and then they feel weird, and why am I doing this, and all these things, and by nature's human like to be on their best behavior and on their best. And so if you're not feeling your best, and you're doing something you don't usually do, and saying things you don't usually say, many times it's actually make you feel, many of us, we feel even worse. And so what we want to know is, when something abnormal and we're doing things that's strange and off to us, that's a normal behavior. And that's and what is the second thing is, in addition to that, is to remember that what is good for you is not necessarily the same with your spouse, your mother, your sibling. We're all different. We all are almost like our fingerprints. If you look at your fingerprints,
Yes.
everybody has different set of fingerprints combination. And if you look at your finger closely, each finger has different prints. And so what we want to remember is, from moment to moment, we feel differently and do things differently, and we are all different. And so let's say your family as a family, you're facing a particular event. Your sister and your mother and your significant other and your children might behave and very differently, and don't say, well, they've already gotten over this, why am I still not haven't gotten over this? And so remember, everybody different, and you are normal and beautiful and fine as you are. And so that's the second thing. And then the last thing I would say is to what I call be a heart with ears and open hand. And the book explained this a little more. But practically what it is be a heart with ears is to listen to ourselves with compassion and no judgment. So if we caught ourselves saying, usually what happens is people go through the day, and then at night you're like, oh my God, why did I say that stupid. Oh my God, why did I do that? Am I crazy? Let's not do that. You are going through things. Let's be a heart with ears. Listen to yourself and to others with compassion and no judgment. And with the open hand is welcome, to welcome and ask for help. And doing that with an open hand instead of a gripping hand. And so what's the difference? If we ask for help with a gripping hand, I want you to spend 25 minutes listening to me expressing my feeling versus I feel I can benefit from somebody listening to me, and whether you put in 5 minutes or 30 minutes or 25 minutes, I'm happy. And if we are doing something with a gripping hand with a certain expectation, if it doesn't happen, it just make us grip more. Versus we say, I welcome help, I am asking for help, and whether somebody, if you need $500, whether somebody give you $50 or $5,000, we're grateful and happy for that.
Right. Wow. Those are some good tips. I especially like that one about going, I don't remember exactly what you said, but the heart with the ears, and self-compassion, because I think that we all struggle with that. I think we all struggle with not having enough self-compassion. We all have that tendency to listen to the negative, that negative little voice in our head too often and believe it too often. And yeah, I love those. Those are great. Thank you for those. One more thing that I did want to ask you is, you talk about, we all deserve to thrive and we all deserve to have a happy life. So what exactly does that mean to you? What does it mean to thrive and have, if you had to define that, what does it mean to thrive and have a joyful life? If somebody asked you, I want to have a joyful life and thrive, how would you define that?
That's a very good question, and that's back actually to the fingerprint.
Okay.
Because what is thriving and joyful to every single person is different.
Mm-hmm.
And what is thriving and joyful to me might not be to you and might not be to my mother, for instance.
Okay.
And so I always say to people said, yeah, I want to be joyful and happy. In general, people understand, okay, we have peace of mind, being able to sleep through the night, as well as, we will be able to feel comfortable and not have to worry all the time. And I would say that's part of thriving, being able to do what it is that we want to do and not feel like we are in an invisible prison. But beyond that, it's everybody different. For me, part of thriving, I actually love traveling. So for me, thriving, part of it is being able to travel and explore the world while doing good at the same time, not just doing it for the sake of doing it. Now, if you don't like traveling, it's absolutely just fine. You will be like, no, that will be suffering for me.
Right.
So being able to have peace of mind and ease and even joy. A lot of time nowadays people talk about joy, but everybody has different kind of what we prefer about joy, right? For some people, I have known some people, if you meet me in person, some people's like, oh my God, they have so much energy. It's kind of like, and for some other people, and that's really wonderful for some people. On the other hand, I have people that told me, it's like, wow, you have so much energy. It's kind of a little bit overwhelming. And I'm like, I'm sorry if I overwhelm you. And so for people who are not like running on a, very high energy, joy might means completely different. And so it's something then, we have peace of mind and ease and being able to do and be what it is that feel wonderful for you, that feel expansive for you.
Mm-hmm. I guess I should have realized that it is something very different for everyone. But I like something you just said. Um, you said something about an invisible prison or an invisible, is that what you called it? An invisible prison that we built for ourselves or something like that?
Yeah, invisible prisons that we sometimes have in our life.
In our lives, an invisible prison. That's very interesting concept. Yeah. I talk a lot about how we we build ourselves we build a gate around ourselves because we're afraid. We have fears and we have yeah, fears, I guess, because of our fears and our whatever that are holding us in. But that's very interesting in an invisible prison. That's really good. And I love that quote that you gave, abnormal behavior in abnormal times is normal. I wrote that down. I really like that. That's a great one. Wow, so much. I've learned so much from this. This is really fabulous. I think I have to get your book, Seeking Peace, and I can't remember the subtitle, but I'm sure I can find it on Amazon without any problem whatsoever. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the listeners, Bridget?
I think if there is one things that I would share with the listener, that one thing that come to me at this moment is that you are wonderful and beautiful as you are. That we all are wonderful and beautiful, and we are all unique. And so that's add to our wonder and beauty. That we are all wonderful and beautiful as you are, regardless. Sometimes you feel like a duck being rained on. But we know that there is a light and love inside of all of us that allow us to be wonderful and beautiful, whether you feel like you are on top of the world or feel like a duck being rained on, that you are enough.
Yes, I totally agree with that. And I'm so glad that you are dancing finally after so many years.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, I thank you very much for being with me today. And I thank you for probably in some small ways already helping people that are listening right now or people that listen to this episode at a later date. Very, very interesting information. And I highly recommend that if you are listening, that you get this book by Burgett Tan called Seeking Peace, available on Amazon. I know I'm going to get it with that 5-finger principle or pillars, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, and make sure that you get in touch with Burgett on either LinkedIn at Burgett Tan or Instagram, Burgett Tan _joyful_living, and Facebook. Ooh, b.pawnee.tan, correct? And ask her about her a 30-minute laser coaching giveaway. Okay, mention this podcast and she'll know what you're talking about. All right, thank you again, Burgett, and thank you, listeners. And we will be communicating again soon. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.